I know you're out there. I can feel you now.
Mr. Edwards, are you on the line?
I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us.
Mr. Edwards?
You're afraid of change. I don't know the future.
Mr. Edwards?
I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world.
Mr. Edwards?
Without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.
My name is not Mr. Edwards. It's Neo.
Welcome back to Patriot Power Hour 17. This is Vince Edwards running for sheriff in Costilla County at Camp Patriot. Looking to free the people, restore the Constitution, establish a little bit of freedom and liberty, and justice for all. Recording live. With the studio audience, folks. We got the studio audience in here. Everybody say hey, alright? Right on. How you doing out there, Colleen? Shout out. I got a heck of a show. I hope you guys like the intro. Mr. Edwards. Mr. Edwards. I don't know how many times I got to clarify for these people that I'm not Mr. Edwards. And I don't live in the Matrix. This is all an illusion, folks. Everybody out there, all these patriots that are fighting for freedom and justice and liberty and trying to get out all of the, all their information and wake people up and let them know that, these people are not following the Constitution, all of our politicians, and trying to elect the right people and get them in office and trying to get, 545 people to all do the right thing. I think that's kind of anti-productive, don't you? And then you've got all these people that are literally sit around for hours and hours and days on end watching these Q drops. And those of us that have been doing this stuff and researching all of this stuff, for about like the last 25 years or so at least, a lot of this stuff we know about, a lot of this stuff we've been screaming about, and now it is getting out there, but we can do something really huge right now, and we need to push the envelope as far as like what's being exposed. And I've got a great big drop, and it's too bad I'm not Q because I'd really love to have everybody focusing on it. And here's my big drop. The drop is that the courts are not using the Constitution. If the courts are not using the Constitution, guess what? You don't have any rights. You only have the amount of rights that are going to be, people are that you can fight for. You're only going to have the amount of rights that you could like arm yourself up and then fight off all these armed people that are going to come and violate your rights. Now, all of these people that want to encroach on you and take your rights, and they claim that they're the government, most of them don't even have a lawful oath. As if you check out the last Power Hour 17, most of them don't even have lawful oaths. They're not a lawful government. They don't adhere to any laws. It doesn't matter what kind of paperwork you put into your case. It might matter. I don't know. Maybe there is some sort of magic bullet paperwork that we can do. And I'm definitely going to try some of that. But Is the solution to this problem getting everybody to do a whole bunch of paperwork and homework and study up and learn all of this stuff that, for those of us that really kind of went down the rabbit hole, it's a good 10 years worth of research, man, every single day trying to figure out what the hell happened. What the hell happened to my rights? What the hell happened to my country? And man, I just cut up this audio, and you can go ahead and search for the YouTube. William, if you want to hit me with the search term for that victory, another victory won. Patriot Cyber Squad, another victory won. And but anyway, it's one of the last few videos in there, and I went through this recording because it was last minute. And the public defender came in at the last minute. We were going to have a trial on April 2nd, and everybody's stressed out, and everybody's rolling to my place and, getting ready to make a stand. And the public defender called me, and I think it was, I don't know if it had something to do with it or what, but called me after this program, and I was on April Lejeune's show talking about I can't get the public defender to sit down with me before they take my case. I'm not allowed to know what the public defender is going to do before they take my case. And lo and behold, right after I get off the phone with April Lejeune, and this is what Patriot Cyber Squad can get you that you can't get on your own, that I can't get on my own, okay? Is that there's lots of people paying attention, lots of people spreading the information, and we are the news now. We can be the news. We don't have to worry about the mainstream media. We don't have to get on Alex Jones, and I'm going to rant about that in a minute here too. But we can rise up and be the media and be the change that we want to see in the world right now. We can all go to the next level with this freedom thing, and all we need to do is just not in any kind of a communist Marxist sort of thing, but march to the beat of one drum, and that is the courts need to use the Constitution. Don't get into this sidetrack stuff that people they lose the layman that hasn't studied all of this stuff. Okay, if you're gonna start teaching people all of the ways that our system is convoluted and operating in a fraudulent manner, then you're going to lose people, and their eyes are going to glaze over, and they don't even know what you're talking about anymore. So we got to keep it really simple. And shout out to my buddy Dean Clifford, who's been through some hell up there in Canada. He's been jailed multiple times, and he says that if it's not simple, it's not a solution. And that seems like a pretty simple mantra to go by, and I think maybe we should start thinking about that. So if we could just get people to start going to people's hearings where they're not using the Constitution for us, the serfs. We don't get Constitution. We don't get indictments. We don't get due process. There's no sworn statement from an injured party for us. We're the serfs. That's because we're the serfs. They're royalty. Royalty, you have to indict them. You have to go through the proper processes and everything like that because they have the big bucks. They have the money to hire the attorneys in order to protect themselves and everything else. And so we, the people, have now at this point been divided down to one, whereas most of us, and the proof of that is how many people go with you to court. For those of you that have asked other people to go to court, because most people won't even ask other people because they know that they're going to be terrified. They don't want to go to court. They're just, it's not a fun place. It's just a place of evil. And one time, Trinidad Martinez, the former land use administrator, was on the stand, and he was talking about, oh, you didn't want to go to that dark place and trying to make me sound scared, crazy or something like that. And I said, no, I don't want to go into that dark, evil place ever again, because that's all that happens in there is fraud and just, there's nothing. Now, let's change tracks here, okay? How much money and time and how many resources has this DA spent on trying to take down Vince Edwards? And we have a massive meth and heroin problem here. Go ahead and talk to Alamosa La Puente homeless shelter, and you'll see we have a massive heroin and meth problem. I bet if she took all the resources, all the money and stuff, and was a little bit frugal with it, they probably maybe could have solved the heroin and meth problem that we have out here by, just taking all the money that's being spent right now and trying to take down Vince Edwards and direct that towards the drug problem. But when I'm sheriff, I'm going to handle that pretty simply. Whatever you legalize, whatever you criminalize, you get more of. Whatever you try to regulate, you get more of. And so we're just not going to regulate it. And we're going to prosecute you if you do harm. You're not going to be able to use the excuse, well, man, I was on some heroin and meth, and so I wasn't really thinking right. Well, you know what? You were thinking right when you, well, probably not right, but you were thinking anyway. Maybe you weren't even thinking, but you were doing it. You made your choice, and that's your free choice to go ahead and do that. But then you got to pay the price if you're going to do something stupid, and then you take some sort of drug that removes your inhibitions, decreases your ability to be a moral, upstanding member of society, and then you go and get yourself into trouble, then you're going to have to pay for that. And then if we just we just elite, basically just enforce the Constitution where you can't regulate what people put in their bodies. And they say they're not doing that, but they're making all these laws about possession and stuff like that. The only reason you're going to possess that stuff is to either sell it to somebody else, and if it's a consenting adult, then there's no problem. If you have one consenting adult, unless you're trading off nuclear technology, and that could just blow a bunch of other people up, but you're not harming any other people. And your rights are there because what you're supposed to be doing is the rights are there to protect the stuff that you want to do and other people don't want you to do, but you're not harming anyone else and you're not infringing on your rights. So for the layman that's listening, or maybe it's one of the first programs you heard, the law is really, really simple for me. After 10, 20 years worth of trying to learn about it and trying to figure out where our rights are, it's my rights end where yours begin. And that's what the law is. If rights are not involved, then there are no laws. There's no infractions. There's no injured party. No body is being harmed. But they want to create all these corporate entities that you can harm. And now think about this. Now, what is a corporation? A corporation, what is the evidence of a corporation? Is it the people running around in the building doing stuff? That's not the evidence of a corporation. You know that there's something going on, but you don't know if there's an actual corporation. The evidence of the corporation is articles of incorporation, the stock, whatever it is that they post officially to the SEC and stuff like that. But what is that essentially? It's a piece of paper. That's all it is. And then if there's not people doing stuff, then all that is just a dead piece of paper that's lying there, and it's not going to do anything. And nobody's going to do anything, and none of the numbers on that paper is going to do anything or are going to change. So it's about rights. It's about the rights of the individual, and I don't see groups. I don't care about different groups. Anybody tries to bring up any kind of a group to me and those people or any of that stuff, you're cheating yourself out. First of all, out of meeting a whole bunch of really awesome people. If you're going to group people, if you're into groupthink, and then you're cheating yourself. You just really, it's unfortunate that you feel that way about groups, and you've been poisoned. Your brain has really been poisoned because when you were a child, you didn't think this way. It didn't matter if there's a black kid or a Hispanic kid or a kid with only one arm, or a kid that maybe stuttered too much or anything like that. When you were a little kid, you didn't learn how to be mean to other people until it was really kind of taught to you. So I honestly really just feel like all humans are good, but as the guy in Spaceballs said, right? He said, evil will always win over good because good is stupid. or something like that, right? But here it is. It's like I feel like evil is always going to win over good because good is complacent, good is relaxed, good is in many cases they're just kicking back and nothing really bad has happened to them yet. So they just don't. They decide that we're I'm just going to kind of look the other way, or it's not really that big of a problem yet, or it's over there. It's over there in South Africa. South Africa, they're just like running people off of their land, running white people. They happen to be white. I'm not racist or anything like that, but maybe that would hopefully help more people think about this kind of stuff. Is that we've got race wars going on in this planet. All of that stuff is done by the media. If you're a racist, 9 times out of 10 that was programmed into you by the media. It's nonstop, 24/7, all day long, and this is a great segue, I think, into what I'm about to talk about, because you got the mainstream media, and you got even Fox News. It's incredible how we have an entire planet filled with like 7 billion people, and there's no news. There's one story. It's just one story, and it's covered nonstop every single day on these cable news networks. These just couple. Are you telling me that's the only news on the entire planet? So if you're watching this, and are you hearing that? There's no more news. That should tell you right there that it's complete fraud. And they have statistics where nobody trusts the media. You've got 6% trust in the media, but then they watch CNN and all this other stuff, and then they just reparrot stuff. And none of these networks ever show you something that Trump said, something that Trump did. They don't show you the footage. They just say, "Oh, did you hear this? Susie said that Trump said this," and then all of a sudden
they can make him look bad by it.
And then and that's all. And then they make him look bad by it, and he, that's how that rolls. I mean, it's just a media circular screwing of whoever they want to target. So why are you watching that stuff when you see them doing this stuff over and over again? And then Trump is like the only guy that in my lifetime that's ever been president and never got a honeymoon. All of these other presidents, they had this, even the one in 2000 where it was decided by the Supreme Court. It was like mad honeymoon afterwards. Everybody just gets together and they're like, okay, we're all going to be unified and this is how we do our country. It's a quote unquote democracy, which it isn't. Article 4, Section 4 says that guarantees each state a Republican form of government to each state in the United States. So we are not a republic. We are not a democracy. We are not a democratic republic. We are a republic, which means that rights are guaranteed by the Constitution, which the servants, who are the only other tier of authority, which are below us, then go and take an oath to this document that they're going to uphold our rights. That's what that is. And then the democracy is when you have 51% tyranny over the 49%. So you can check out back in my YouTubes there, you can find Costilla County child sacrifice proposed at the Costilla County meeting. You got to wake these people up. If you're going to wake them up, you got to do it with like shock value. I found that is the best way to do it. And when I was at that meeting, I said, hey, say your county, the town council, they vote in a child sacrifice. And we're going to say, hey, we've had bad crops for 10 years. And I read somewhere that we're going to have a child sacrifice on May 1st. Then we're going to have good crops this year. And then everybody else votes on that. That's what a democracy is. Now, obviously, that's unlawful. That's illegal. And it's common sense. I mean, it's obviously you can't do that. But there's lots of other crap that is not so obvious. And people can do that if they vote for it. So a lot of stuff that I don't hear out there is that these people that take an oath of office and they're supposed to enforce the law, shouldn't the law be don't vote on stuff that's unconstitutional? So if you see politicians out there and they're voting on something that's you're a cop and you know that they're not supposed to be like infringing on the Second Amendment and they're trying to vote on something or they're out speaking against the Second Amendment, not by saying we need to repeal the Second Amendment, which is the only way you can really speak out against the Second Amendment. But they're out there saying we need to have these guns, we need to ban these particular ones, we need to ban bump stocks, we need to ban whatever. The CIA infiltrated all forms of media through Operation Mockingbird in order to push the New World Order agenda down our throats. If you know that information right there, then you're listening to the right channel. If you don't understand that, you need to understand that it was back in, I'm not sure exactly the date there, somebody can maybe clarify for me, I think it was around 1925, 1932-ish, and they basically sat down and said, we got 25 papers that if we can control these papers, there really wasn't any radio or TV back then, we can control the entire, the public opinion, and we can make people just basically do what we want them to do. So we haven't been free. We haven't been doing our own thing. We haven't been doing things to our inclination, what we want, for a very, very long time. We've been doing things that are necessary because of these outside forces that are artificially created, and now we live in this bubble, like this Truman Show. We all live in this Truman Show, and we think that we have a nice house, and you've got a nice cushy bed, and you've got nice clothes, and you've got the washer and dryer, and a nice shower, or maybe a bathtub, and maybe a nice jacuzzi tub in your house. You've got all these really nice things, okay? But really, look at what they got, okay? What have they got? They got private jets, they got butlers and maids and gardeners, and they got the best food. They probably got everything grown for them completely organically. They've got all the best, medical treatments, all of that stuff. What am I describing here? What am I laying out to you? Is that we have a feudal system. That's what the world is right now, is a feudal system. Okay? And then here's another thing. Now, there's a senator in Rome, and they were talking about, like, the slaves. We want them to know that they're you're the slaves and we're the bosses. And so they were like, what we should do is we should have all of the slaves wear white bands, so they know that they're slaves, and then we know they're slaves, and we don't accidentally be nice to a slave or something like that. So the other senator said, what are you, crazy? If you do that, then they're going to know exactly how many of them there are and how few of us there are. And these people that are censoring the crap out of my channel, I can't get above 425 subscribers, that this is right here, man. We are over the target here at Patriot Cyber Squad. And I really do mean that. I'm not like just, giving you guys a bone because we're doing awesome and I'm getting more, viewers and listeners to the program and my content and everything that's going on over here at Patriot Camp. But it really is. And this DA, I'm going to play this recording. I'm going to clip it in here for the recorded show. But I'm going to go ahead and play this recording in a minute. I might have to transfer that over to my phone. And then I clipped together everything that had something to do with basically you guys. And then there's one part in there where she's talking about he's going to get it. He wants to get maybe another attorney, and somehow that's bad. And then it was like, well, maybe we should punish him for all these delays by making him pay for our witnesses. It's like, that's amazing. Where are they going to get this money from me? How are they planning on doing that? I guess we're going to do maybe some slave labor afterwards, right? In order to get the money out of me. Is that what they're going to do? Okay, we got this slave. We're going to work him at 25 cents an hour. That'll be 2, 3, 4 years until he's paid off a couple $100, right?
It works for the prison system.
It does work for the prison system. And Corrections Corporation of America, while the rest of the whole country was being eviscerated, had booming years, man. They had they were just doing awesome. You know why? Because it's like almost a monopoly. So here's the thing. I understand how Trump feels about private prison systems because I understand how Trump feels about government in general. but he's off the mark on this thing because they need to have some sort of a blowing wide open of this whole monopoly system of private prisons. And I could be supportive of private prisons if you had some more competition. Let's have some more competition in that prison system, and maybe like, hey, you know, how many inmates do you have that come out of your jail and then they go and reoffend? How many violent offenders, you know, get out and then they go back out into society and they can't plug back in because you screwed them up. And then we need to fire them.
With built-in incentives to fill up the prison. That's fucked up.
And that's the other thing too, is that they do have all of these incentives with the state that they have to have a certain amount of prison beds filled. I mean, we have this system that's preying on us and never helping us. Ask anybody to see if you will ever get any help. Watch my YouTubes. You're hearing me. I'm calling the FBI. I'm calling like these so-called news networks like Channel 5, and maybe I'll play that one. We'll do that on the next program, or on the next live stream. But these people do not care about you, and once you finally understand that, then we're going to be able to work on a solution. So what's the solution? First of all, the solution has to start with us, and it has to end with us. If it's dependent on voting or like going through a whole bunch of court processes and filing lots of documents and everything like that, I don't think that's going to work. But if it's just us going and being able to go into a court hearing and going, that's a crime. I see that's a crime, and now I'm going to go and file a criminal complaint, okay, or a criminal claim or whatever it is that we need to do, and file it into that case so that there's a record of this. And then this judge is not going to be able to get by that unless they decide to answer that affidavit or retire from the bench. And that's what a lot of these judges are doing when people like myself and others are pushing the boundaries and making it so that they have to obey their oath of office, which they don't have. So I am going to get into this recording. We're going to go ahead and play this recording, and then after that, we're going to close it out, and I'm going to take some questions. Anyone that has any questions, go ahead and just feel free to drop them in the chat right now. And if anybody has any news or anything like that they want me to cover on this edition, go ahead and drop those links in the chat. If you want to get involved, if you want to get on one of these power hours or a Patriot Talk or something like that, get involved in the Discord chat that is underneath all of my YouTubes, just about, if I've had the opportunity to update them as power allows.
I want to say a little something to people. Guys, what you have to understand, along with what Vince was saying, was that they have managed to turn corporations into people and give those people the voting rights because they're the ones speaking up. Until you speak up as a people, as a person, and stand up for your rights, those are the ones that are going to get recognized because those are the ones that are talking. We need to stand up. We need to be the voice for ourselves and not let the corporations speak as people for us, because that's what's going on. You all know it, but you got to wake up, get off your ass, and do something about it. We need to stand up for our rights.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
If we don't, then the franchise and the corporations are going to be the people that get represented, and that's not the truth. You know it. All right, man. I just had to say that before you move on to your video.
No, that's awesome, man. And we're getting beat down, and that's what people don't even understand. And then there are way more people that are not voting than there are that are voting, because if you look at it, it was like 65. It was like 100,000 roughly, maybe 120, 130,000 tops.
The corporations are well represented.
And then we have 300,000 people in the country, so we actually have more people that don't vote than that do vote. So instead of voting, and like, I don't even think like really voting is a solution. Instead of voting, join Patriot Cyber Squad, and shout out to a webmaster out there. Whoever wants to come on in here and get a webmaster, we've got 10 live on the stream right now, and we're hopefully growing. If YouTube will allow us to get more subscribers, we're going to be growing. So what we also
get our act together and walk right back in there and take our government back.
And then what I'd also like to do is hopefully maybe move this to the website, even the video streams and stuff like that, to an independent website. Maybe even start up a blockchain social media network. All these types of different ways that we can get free of the system. So, all right. So, thanks everybody for being here and tuning in. And I'm going to shut the recording off so we can listen to the other audio.
This is clearly a delay tactic. Mr. Edwards has made it quite clear that he is intending to and is attempting to bring in individuals from outside and inside of his community to be present in his trial. He's indicated that to me personally in email communication. He's also indicated that on his social media channels. And it is clear that this move at this late stage to try to bring in a public defender, knowing full well that an attorney will not be prepared to proceed to trial on Monday, is nothing but a tactic to delay and to stall this proceeding. And whether he's chosen to spend that time, posting YouTube videos instead of preparing his defense is a choice that he made. He's repeatedly stated in his social media channels that if he had just a little bit more time to get more people there, that would be his preference. Because I have very grave concern that this is only being done as a stalling tactic to try to get more people into the jurisdiction and more people into the courtroom on Mr. Edwards' behalf, and that he has no intention of proceeding with Mr. Waldo as his attorney. Well, and Your Honor, go ahead. Your Honor, I can provide the court with evidence. As of even last week, there are YouTube videos where Mr. Edwards is saying specifically that he does not want an attorney. Within the past several days, where Mr. Edwards is stating affirmatively to his followers who were trying to help him try to get an attorney that specifically does not want an attorney, that he's being very adamant that he's not doing that. And so his statement is now that he spent the past month trying to locate an attorney, and his clarification that there may be another attorney who may be joining that, again, I think speaks to this being a motion, not by Mr. Waldo, but the statements made by Mr. Edwards are clearly being made in bad faith. Should he choose to not proceed with the public defender on his case, that he be required to, as a sanction, pay for our witnesses who have consistently had to have travel booked for them in order to come to this trial, as an incentive for him to keep his word to this court.
Have you ever heard any kind of crazy insanity like what just came out of that woman's mouth? Talking about all the people. The people are coming, man. I can't believe it. What are we gonna do? And we don't want to push this trial out too far because then too many people are gonna show up. The DA is just giving a shout out to the people. And she's saying she doesn't speak for the people. She's saying too many people are going to show up. And I don't speak for those people. Who is she speaking for? Alex Jones. This man is now the new mainstream sheeple media. If you're watching Alex Jones on a regular basis every single day, it's just the same thing as mainstream media. I'm calling them out. They are ridiculous. It's absolutely, I mean, you would really your brain must be rotted if you're sitting there watching Alex Jones or any of these other guys on InfoWars on a daily basis, and all you're doing is watching following the Q updates from Corsi and everything else. Because what are they doing? That's all they're doing is covering what's happened to themselves personally. Roger Stone's talking about himself all the time. You got Alex Jones talking about himself all the time. And, they're coming after us. They're trying to shut us down. You got to buy all our products and everything, and that's great. I got no problem.
You got to buy that.
I got no problem with people running a free market and all that stuff like that. But they don't have any local news on there. When have you heard of, not just me, and I'm not just complaining because I can't get my story on there, but 800 people being run off of their property in Costilla County, in a county of 4,800 people? Are you telling me that that's not news in America? This is America over here. But for some reason, we can't get on InfoWars, but yet these guys in South Africa that are getting run off their property, they can get on InfoWars. But we can't seem to get this thing on InfoWars. You know how many people that I've had call you guys out and say, what's going on? So I really honestly say, look, we got to keep them honest. All right. The people, just like anything else, put them in power. And they're not covering news. There is lots and lots and lots of news that they could be covering on a daily basis, and they're not. They're filling up every single freaking 3-hour show with nothing but the Russia collusion delusion stuff and their own personal involvement in it. Thank you very much. It's becoming ridiculous. And it's also, what is it doing? It's distracting all of the people from what the real issues are. Like, the Constitution isn't being... Why, Alex? Why aren't you telling people that the Constitution isn't used in the courts? That they're all completely operating under complete fraud? Why have you never gone after that whole thing? All right? So that's what I'm doing right here, man. I'm throwing down the gauntlet, man. If you're the real deal, you have to have me on. You have to have people like me on, that are the little people that are fighting battles, and there's so many of us out there that we could win this war tomorrow, man, almost, it seems like. If Alex Jones would just let a bunch of us on his network and get a little bit of the clout we need, because look, what have we done? I've got 421 subscribers. We've got, 37 people in the Discord chat. Imagine just one appearance on Alex Jones, the kind of power that Patriot Cyber Squad would have to after just one appearance on Alex Jones. What could we do with that? And how would that make America great again if they would let us get on there? So, anything you want to add on that, Bruce?
Actually, I do want to add something. Let me point something out to you. We all notice how mainstream media seems to be staying away from the obvious stories, man. The world is ripe with all these big stories. Mainstream media doesn't want anything to do with it. They want to tell you about who Trump had an affair with 12 years ago. Anything to make Trump look bad is none of the real news that's going on. And we point that out about the mainstream media. Mm-hmm. What he's saying about Alex Jones, look, This is Alex Jones territory. Mm-hmm. This is ripe with Alex Jones stuff. Yeah. Man, he should be all over all this stuff. Where the fuck is he?
And it's just about fighting division.
I'm sorry.
It's just a divisive...
It's a little early for the F-bomb.
No, that's fine. I mean,
what I'm saying is, Alex Jones is acting just like the mainstream media right now, and that's how he started this rant. Alex Jones is doing the same thing. He's following that mundane stuff. He's following the safe stuff. But he is the number one name in conservative, outspoken media this way. Why isn't he the number one voice talking about all these things? Why isn't he covering this case? Why isn't he covering the big cases that are going on right here in America? Why is he acting like the mainstream media? That's not right. He should be, man, this is his time to shine. Yeah. This is when all the biggest things that he should be the most excited about are coming to a head, and everybody in America is waking up. Yep. Why is he not leading that charge? Why don't we see him? And why, when we do see him, is the same shit we've already heard covered by 12 other people? Yeah, I mean, I hadn't even watched InfoWars in like a month, man. And there it was again. It's like, oh my God, this is the same thing I was just listening to about a month ago. Because we've had all this stuff going on with my trial possibly coming up on April 2nd. And somebody mentioned something about that. It's not on April 2nd. The trial has been moved. That trial has been moved to the 16th to the 18th. But this sets up something really awesome, folks, because if we can get as many people as we can here on April 11th, what you're going to do is be able to watch that DA talk about how we need to send Vince Edwards to jail for a Facebook post that used to be a phone call after the DA swapped out evidence because, Ricky Rodriguez lied about what was said on that video / phone call. All right. I mean, totally convoluted. This is just going to be awesome. And man, I wish I had the audio from that hearing. That would have been an awesome audio to play because she literally sat up there for 45 minutes talking about Facebook posts, coming up, literally had like, a little thick thing of all my Facebook posts. I was like, I can't believe it, man. Hey, Vince, how many years are they trying to give you for exercising your rights?
24 years. They want to put me in jail for 24 years.
For
folks.
A Facebook post.
Well, it started out with the Facebook post, and then they came here. I failed to appear. They get you enough times to come to court. Eventually, maybe you forget one, and then that way they can, failed to appear. He wasn't going to show. Now we're going to jail him and stuff, and keep on going until he takes a plea and backs down.
Exactly. Takes a guy that's living in a dirt hut, ground on his ass, make him spend all this money until he finally drops the ball on one of your little appointments he doesn't even know about, and then he's screwed, right? But then you're going to whine when he has tactics that are actually just legal.
Yep.
that oh my God, he's going to cost us money because our witnesses can't show up and blah blah blah. But he wants to bring witnesses. It's funny how they're bitching about the exact same thing that they did to Vince.
And
how
then
does that work?
what Luke was just saying, 24 freaking years, man. And here's the other part of that, Luke. I can walk over to that DA today and get a plea for nothing. Time served, one felony menacing, one misdemeanor. And I'm done. I get my $1,000 back for the bond, and no more sheriff's election. I don't have to worry about electing, going for sheriff. And I can guarantee you they would never, ever mess with me ever again. At this point, I've already won that battle. So we're going further from there. This is for everybody out there. This is for Patriot Cyber Squad. This is for your children, your posterity. That's why we're doing all of this stuff here. So anyway, and if you've been listening to the recording, we've been doing a little bit of live stuff, a little bit of, it's all been live. And I really appreciate you listening. And this has been Patriot Power Hour 17. God bless you out there. Get involved, because this is the end of the rainbow. We can get our freedom right now. See you next time.
Thank you.